Hello everyone, and welcome to an Enshrouded build video. Today we are taking on the big task of building our Necromancer his basement crypt. It's going right underneath the alchemist tower, and I have to admit, I was not prepared for this type of digging. This is only the second time that I'm actually digging into the earth for a build. The first time was the storage room, which was relatively easy. And I think that's why I thought this would be simple as well. But it actually wasn't. The whole build took me around 3 hours to get done. And as you can see, it was quite a lot of digging. I did manage to sort of work out how to do it quicker and quicker as I went on, but it was tough. You'll see me run up and down from the top to the bottom quite a few times as I make adjustments on the fly. A few things that I did do that maybe might help you when you do your underground build is I use the luminescent blocks for light. The luminescent blocks really help down underground because it gets super dark. The building blocks that I decided to go with was a mixture between the red marble and the hollow halls blocks. And then I also managed to work in one of my most favorite blocks, the well block. I wanted it to resemble the hollow halls, but not too much. I wanted it to also feel like mine. The mixture of the two, I think, really brought the hollow halls, and then mixing in the well block, I think it really brought everything together, actually. The beginning part of this is all the polished granite though, just to stick with the tower's feeling. And then it was on to basically creating the gap in between switching from tower to crypt. I wanted to leave in as much of this as possible so that you could see that digging is quite a process when you're not very used to it. It's definitely something I wish I had practiced more before doing this. Speaking of, we are nearing the end. There's not many more builds to be done for the village, and that means that this Enshrouded build series is almost over. I'd like to know from you guys, what do you think I should do next? Would you like me to keep building in Enshrouded? Would you like me to think about a possible return to Warframe fashion frame content? Or maybe bringing back Star Citizen stuff? I love making content, but sometimes I just need a little bit of direction on what you guys want to see. So leave a comment down below. Let me know what kind of content you'd like to see, and I'll definitely reply. I reply to all of my comments, so let's make a conversation out of it. I knew that downstairs I wanted room, but I also wanted a compact feeling. So I decided that we would have a main room as you enter, which would have all of the crafting and some fun decoration around. And then he needs a bedroom. And I also want an actual little crypt down here. Maybe for where his family is buried, or some random villagers, I don't know. I've left in quite a bit of the process this time. I guess so that you guys can see more of how I decided on how things would go. I realized that in a lot of my other videos that I kind of skip through quite a bit of the process. Even though I try to explain it, you don't always see what it is I do to get there. So I've left in quite a bit of the digging and building, simply so that you guys can see the process that I went through. But I think for now, I'll just let you guys watch, and I'll pop back in as soon as there's something worthwhile talking about. With the main room ready, I decided that I would start creating my hallway. I picked a spot on the left-hand side wall and cut it all out, and then was getting ready to start digging out in that direction when I realized that I had actually reached my borderline. I can't build here, so I decided, you know what, we're gonna fill this up and just dig in the opposite direction. With only one hallway now, I had to change my idea just a little bit. So I decided that I would have an end room to the hall, as well as a room that cut off to the side. One would be the bedroom, one would be the crypt, but I was happy to do this because with this little hallway, it also gives me a chance to expand later on if I want to. Almost done with the crypt room, I decided to start placing my wall block in already so that I could have an idea of how I wanted the rest of the place to be decorated with the wall block. Another thing that I do later on is use some of the crypt fencing decoration on top of the wall, so it adds a little bit more of a different texture to the red marble. I think it comes out pretty well. I'll point it out when we get to that point later on. With the crypt room ready, it was time to set up his bedroom. I finally got my Twitch drops, by the way. I knew his room needed to be plain, not gigantic, but with some space in case I need to put in an assistant's bed as well later on. So I made it a modest size. Once I was happy with the room and the hallway, it was time to start outlining with that wall block again. I was getting really close to feeling happy with what we had at this point. So, yeah, everything was coming together really well. I really liked the feeling of that wall block against the red marble. It just looks so good. Then again, it is my favorite block in the game, at least from the stone family. With the room done, I decided that the floor definitely needed something more than just plain stone. So I dug out the top layer across the entire floorway, and what I wanted to do was take that space and create something with it, like I had done in the tavern and in the storage room and in the carpenter's house. So this time I wasn't going to use wood. This time I decided I would use marble and the obsidian, because they are both very nice tiley floors. I outlined first in the red marble because I wanted that to be the main color and tile of the floor, and I would use the obsidian as a accent block. I hope that that's making sense, but you'll get exactly what I mean as soon as you see the finished product. Here you can already see how similar they are in theme, I suppose you would call it, and that when they are next to each other, they're actually not similar enough to get lost, but also different enough to show up differently. You'll understand more when the whole floor is done, but I think it comes together really well. I didn't keep it extra fancy, I just did a plain pattern on the floor, and I think it came out really, really nicely. I actually might want to do something like this with other places in the village. Before that though, I need to get the hallway flooring done. I decided to do the exact same thing. Obviously, not being able to replicate that pattern, I did use the same blocks though to decorate the hallway's floorway. Once the flooring was all done, I decided that the crypt wouldn't have the special tiling floors, that would be the same as the walls, a mixture between the two of the hollow halls block and the red marble. Oh, I also got to play a little bit with a hidden door. I thought that would be a really cool way for our necromancer to enter and exit his room, instead of the standard doorway. With the rooms and the floor layout basically done, I laid down the last of the well block, lined up and put pillars up, and then it was pretty much time for us to start decorating. I was happy with the layout, and it leaves enough for us to expand on it later on. For now though, it's time to get our necromancer in here, I think. One of the cool things with Update 5 is the precise placing of things, or fine-tuned position. It lets me clip things into blocks and off of blocks and all sorts of different positions. So I use that quite a bit on the inside here to make sure that our lamps on the roof weren't hanging too low. I also use it when decorating quite a lot. I turn things and position them in ways that make them look less placed and more living. I went through quite a few different designs for the crafting area. Eventually I ended up with just the one crafting machine though, so it turns out nicely. I even found use for the cobwebs down here. There was quite a lot of different decorations that went into each of these shelves, and I have to admit it was quite a while placing all of these down. Definitely one of the more detailed builds. If you have a look in the back there, that's what I meant with the crypt fencing against the walls. It was time though to move our necromancer in, and then we're on to the glamour shots. I really love how this came together. I got everything I wanted in there and more. And it's definitely a feeling of a necromancer's home, in a way. Something more fancy than I guess you would traditionally expect, but each room came together, and the entire basement of the tower is now complete. There's not much left in the series. I believe there are 2 videos left, at the time of this recording at least. Let me know in the comments how you're liking it so far, and what you'd like to see next. Anyways, I hope you guys are having a good one. Thank you for liking and subscribing. And I'll see you next time.